while the rest of the nation looks forward to a winter warm-up.
Well above average temperatures are expected.
A successful ice rescue is caught on camera in Washington.
If we had not been there, you would have been reporting on a different outcome.
While the region settles into its fake spring.
I could actually see some of the green on the mountains.
See the islands locked in by ice, the frustrations over slow snow removal, and the beaches suffering serious erosion.
It's definitely more of a defined ledge, I'd say, this season than maybe last year or the year before.
And a look back at the infamous blizzard of 1978.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
And good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Mark Pena. Another round of snow and bitter cold air is heading for the Great Lakes and the Northeast. Light snow develops across the Great Lakes later today as the storm pushes east. Light snow will fall from Pennsylvania to New England with higher amounts in West Virginia. But the snow is just part of the story. Temperatures are going to plummet with wind chills well below zero in many places. And those winds will be howling on Saturday with wind gusts up to 40 and 50 miles per hour and higher from Northern Virginia to New York. But outside that region, the rest of the country should see warmer weather in the coming days. Alabama meteorologist Riley Blackwell shows us the changing patterns.
Looking over the next 6 to 10 days, well above average temperatures are expected for parts of the heartland, south, and deep south regions of the U.S. Now, why is that? After we've been dealing with extreme cold to end January and start February. So we have this trough that's going to be pushing through. That will keep our Thursday temperatures a little bit on the cooler side. But then on the back side of that, this is what we call a ridge. We often get these during the summertime. That's where the unbearable heat and humidity come from. But anytime this ridge builds, if you're south of the top of the ridge, it's going to be a lot warmer than it would normally be for whatever time of year you're in. Right now we average about 56 and we'll be about 15 degrees above that likely for the next few days. And especially looking ahead to next week, that ridge intensifies and warm air keeps flowing from the Gulf. So temperatures for us will be well above average. Some days could potentially even near 70. But another thing about that ridge, it also tends to keep severe weather or wintry weather away from us, at least for a little while.
Now, Seattle is used to warmer weather in February, and it even has a name, false or fake spring. But people in the Pacific Northwest know it doesn't mean winter is over. Meteorologist Stella Sun has the details.
Winter in Western Washington is beautiful, but it can sometimes be rough.
You could really spiral, especially in this type of weather where we have that gloom.
When there's a spring-like warm-up,
I'm feeling pretty good. It's dry. It's like pretty mild weather.
we take advantage of it.
We are fortunate enough to have this little fake spring on occasions, which is really well needed.
While fake spring is nice now,
I definitely noticed like I could actually see some of the green on the mountains, which you typically wouldn't normally see at this time of year, like a lot less snow than past years.
the lack of snow in the mountains is raising concerns.
There's less snow to ski on.
Of the 5 areas where snowpack is measured in western Washington, 4 of those areas in red have a snowpack between 37 to 45% of normal. This could affect the upcoming fire season.
We'll have the smoke season and the sun turns bright red, and that's not something that I used to see apart from the last few years.
While the weather is mild now,
I mean, it is rather nice to get a break from the cold and the wet.
there's still time for winter to catch up.
Yeah.
That warm weather means ice conditions are poor in Washington state lakes. On Wednesday, a man fell through thin ice, but lucky for him, it happened right in front of police who were conducting water training. Rescuers quickly pulled the man out of the water.
Right place, right time. I mean, if we had not been there, this would have been you would have been reporting on a different outcome.
He added that if the team had not been there, it would have taken an hour for first responders to reach the individual. Ice is causing big problems for people who live in the Chesapeake Bay. Large chunks of ice surrounding Smith and Tangier Islands in the bay. That makes it nearly impossible for Virginians who live on the islands to leave. It's also preventing boats carrying food and medicine from reaching the islands. Meanwhile, last weekend's storm carried away a large section of beach along the coast, and the dunes are still eroding today. Megan Summers is in Maryland's Assateague State Park with more.
Well,
from the looks of these dune drop-offs, Mother Nature must have been hungry this weekend, and she's still going. Watch that piece of sand fall off there. The park superintendent says a lot of this sand is frozen, and pieces will keep falling off as it thaws. It's a unique phenomenon. It leads to heavy chunks of sand like this. With how unstable that leaves parts of the dunes, the park had to close some entrances off.
It's definitely more of a defined ledge, I'd say, this season than maybe last year or the year before.
It's a 10, 12-foot drop-off, the escarpment there.
The drop-offs caught the attention of a few surfers today. With the ocean still settling down, it was a good day to catch some waves. That's why Billy Weiland was out here. He visits daily and says that spot deals with erosion every year.
We get big south swells, big nor'easters, and it tends to be the sweet spot where the dune system, the dune field will get cut out a lot. There's not a lot of vegetation that's really taken hold of the dune there either, so it doesn't really have a lot to keep it in place.
Billy says some more plants could help that section stay rooted, and for any sections that don't smooth over on their own, he hopes DNR comes in to fix it.
We're only a few months away from the busy season here, so as more people start to come here and use the beach, if it hasn't righted itself by then.
A flaky frozen shoreline in Assateague State Park.
Now in Rhode Island, people are still having problems with snow and ice. Christian Rapoza reports some local businesses are hoping for a hand from Mother Nature.
10 days removed from one of the biggest snowstorms the area has seen in years, cleanup is still the hot topic. The piles of snow impacting street parking. Businesses say that's just the start.
We already don't have a lot of parking spaces anyway for customers, so for the roads to not be clear, it's just way more difficult for them to park.
We've had a couple of slips, and then we've got the snowbanks in the street that are blocking the drainage from our building here. So it's creating this huge ice rink, and I see the bus has no place to drop off the passengers. They're jumping through the snowbank, which is dangerous. You see my neighbor here is helping out. We've all tried to contribute to this one ice block we've got going on here with buckets of salt and whatnot, but it's not one person that can handle it. It's kind of a lot.
As for a solution, many are just hoping Mother Nature will take its course.
Now, this week marks 48 years since the historic blizzard of 1978 struck the Great Lakes region and New England. The storm is remembered for its record-breaking snowfall and high winds. Maine meteorologist Hannah Sheehy looks back on the historic storm.
The nor'easter lasted from February 5th through the 7th in 1978. Everywhere from Ohio to Maine felt the impacts of this storm, with some isolated areas in Rhode Island and Massachusetts receiving 30 inches of snowfall and even more than that. Burrville, Rhode Island took home the largest snow totals of over 30 inches, while Boston got over 2 feet. Here in Portland, we didn't get as much snow, but we did get the brunt of the coastal impacts. On top of heavy snow, strong gusty winds caused snowdrifts over 10 feet tall in Massachusetts. Here's a photo from early February in Ohio, where snowdrifts reached the height of this resident's roof. Notice there's no snow on the roof as wind blew it off, helping make the snowdrifts on the ground. Coastal flood warnings were issued here in Maine the morning of Tuesday, February 7th, that read, all people in coastal sections from Portland to Kittery should immediately evacuate to higher ground inland, as tides were running 3 to 4 feet above normal. The tide from Tuesday morning held the record for highest tide for 46 years of over 14 feet in Portland. The Old Orchard Beach Pier was nearly destroyed during the storm, but was rebuilt 2 years later and still stands as the current pier. Gusty winds and rough seas were felt across the Northeast, causing destruction and erosion.
Now check out these mesmerizing cloud streets over the Gulf and Atlantic. According to NOAA, they were formed on Sunday by the Arctic blast that brought record cold temperatures to Florida. Cloud streets appear when cold, dry air flows over relatively warm water. As the air absorbs heat and moisture, the long rows of parallel lines of cumulus clouds form, usually aligned with the wind in one direction. The gap of clear skies you see between the coastline and the clouds is due to the time and distance it takes the cold air to pick up the heat and moisture from the water. And for all the latest weather news and video, be sure to follow us on social media. You can find us on all your favorite platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll hear from a Michigan man who narrowly escaped disaster after his barn collapsed under the weight of snow and ice. And days are getting longer. We'll show you just how much more daylight you can expect to see through the month of February.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti. We look at the Northeast. It's a chilly start in the Northeast again this morning. Most of you are in the single numbers and teens. Here we go during the afternoon with some sun for most areas. We're back in the 20s to in some cases near 30 degrees. A weak front approaches from the west on Friday. We'll start to introduce, well, first some snow showers in New York during the course of the afternoon and nighttime hours. That's 8 p.m. Friday. Most of New England will get into some of this light snow with a little inverted trough on Saturday, followed by colder temps Sunday.
I'm meteorologist Justin Chambers tracking our weather across the mid-Atlantic. Thursday looking pretty good. Lots of sunshine, not much wind to deal with by Thursday afternoon. Temperatures will be a little bit colder, but we're all tracking that next weather maker impacting western Maryland first on Friday morning. By Friday afternoon into the evening, crossing into the 95 corridor. That gives us a better chance of at least a light coating of snow across the region. Temperatures Thursday afternoon into the 20s, and then we'll wake up in the teens Friday morning before they're back to the 30s on Friday afternoon.
Good Thursday morning, meteorologist Michael Araborg with a look at your southeast regional forecast for today. We're looking at perhaps some snow showers in the cold air in parts of interior South and North Carolina. Cold front will be pushing through South Florida, giving that part of the area scattered showers and downpours. Other than that, the rest of the southeast will be clear and sunny with high pressure and control. Bright and beautiful, but very chilly out there. A high in Nashville and Raleigh only 37, 40s through much of the southeast with 50s and 60s through the Sunshine State.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Now, a man in northern Michigan says he is thankful to be alive after narrowly escaping a greenhouse roof collapse caused by snow and ice accumulation. Experts say winter roof collapses can happen quickly, so homeowners need to pay attention. Tony Lundy has more.
The collapse happened after days of heavy snow and ice continuing to pile up across the region. The owner says he had been just inside the greenhouse watering trees, and moments later, he heard a loud noise and watched the structure come down.
The whole greenhouse, boof, heard a big noise. I turned around, and it came down faster than you wouldn't believe it. It was lickety-split, and I turned around. I couldn't believe it.
After seeing the damage, Perrette says the reality of how close he was to danger quickly set in. He says the outcome could have been much different.
Well, I wouldn't be doing this right now if I'd have been inside. That's for sure. Right. You know, I wouldn't be above ground probably because the middle of that, most of that, 3/4 of that structure just all down to the ground.
Officials with the National Weather Service say Bear Lake has seen significantly more snow than normal this season, increasing the risk of structural failures.
They've ranged anywhere from 90 inches to over 120 in some areas. So that's running probably about 125% of normal so far. With the cold weather we've been seeing, especially over the past couple of weeks, it's been pretty relentless as far as the snowfall goes.
A local roofing company says in general, 1 inch of average snow weighs about 1 pound per square foot, while wet or heavy snow can weigh 2 to 3 pounds and solid ice can weigh up to 5 pounds. Oh, really? They urge homeowners to keep track of snow and ice buildup, since even steel structures can fail under extreme weight.
Now, snow isn't always a danger. After it snows, rolling up snowballs can be a lot of fun. But did you know nature can do this on its own? Meteorologist Gracie Frund explains.
You might notice something unusual on the ground after it snows. White shapes that resemble logs, Swiss rolls, or rolled up carpet. These are called snow rollers, and they're basically nature's natural snowballs. Snow rollers form when several weather ingredients line up just right. First, temperatures need to be right around freezing, which is 32 degrees, to help keep the snow pliable. Next, there needs to be a thin layer of wet snow on the surface and a hard, icy crust underneath that prevents the snow from sticking to the ground. And finally, you need a steady wind blowing across an open area that's strong enough to move the snow without breaking the structure. Here's how it works. The wind catches a small clump of snow and starts pushing it along the ground. As it rolls, it picks up more snow and grows layer by layer. This is pretty similar to how we would start by building a snowman, but in this case, the wind is doing all the work. Snow rollers are pretty uncommon, and many people will go their whole lives without seeing them, which makes spotting them pretty special.
It's been a cold winter for much of the country, and when you think of states where it's common for temperatures to drop, Wisconsin comes to mind. And this week marks 30 years since Wisconsin saw its coldest temperatures on record. Meteorologist Audrey Lay has more.
It occurred during the first 4 days of February in 1996, when a bone-chilling air mass spread across much of the upper Midwest. On February 2nd and again on February 4th, Wisconsin saw its coldest temperature ever, at minus 55 degrees in the small village of Coudray. While Coudray is in Sawyer County in northwest Wisconsin, the bitter cold was also felt here in northeast Wisconsin. On the morning of February 2nd, 1996, temperatures across northeast Wisconsin plunged. It was so cold that many residents couldn't get their cars started, and some had to rent a vehicle.
Is your car not starting?
It's never not started before, but he doesn't know if he can get it started today either.
Green Bay dropped to 26 below zero, and that's not counting the wind chill. The cold will continue for 2 more days. On the morning of February 4th, temperatures dropped even further for some. Green Bay plunged to 24 below, and daytime highs, they never made it above zero across the region.
We have been below zero for 137 straight hours, all beginning on January 30th at about 4 p.m.
During this 4-day cold snap, average temperatures in Wisconsin was negative 18 degrees, making it one of the coldest stretches in the state.
Now, February is often the coldest month of the year, even as days are getting longer, but not everyone is seeing the same amount of additional daylight. Meteorologist Andrew Michael from Columbus, Ohio, explains what's going on.
Hey everybody, meteorologist Andrew Michael here. Winter, right? 1 second. All right, that's a lot better. If we recorded this video a month ago, it would still be dark out here. However, the month of February is when we really start adding on more daylight. And you can see why right here next to me. As we go through the month of February, the tilt of the Earth slowly gets a little bit closer to the direct rays right over the equator, which means we start adding on a little bit more daylight every single day. However, it depends on how far north and how far south you live. Take a look. The northern part of the United States adding on about 80 minutes of daylight for the month of February. However, the farther south you live, only adding on maybe 30 to 40 minutes of daylight. Here in Columbus, we're adding on about 65 minutes of daylight for the month of February. We'll take it. Again, the spring equinox happening next month, but February is a nice change where you start noticing the earlier sunrise, the later sunset. We're getting closer and closer to warmer temperatures as well. It's cold out here. I got to get back inside.
In California, almond growers say fluctuations in the weather could impact this year's crop, and it's not because of the cold. They say warmer than normal winter temperatures are the problem, pushing some trees out of dormancy, leaving them vulnerable to damage. Vincent Rupena has more.
Farming professionals in Butte County say temperature and precipitation are the most important environmental conditions farmers watch during the almond bloom, when almond trees blossom and set up the year's crop harvest.
Once the rain happens or the temperatures begin to dip below freezing level, then the blossoms, which are very, very delicate, sometimes can't withstand that.
Almond blossoms typically appear in mid-February to early March, but Colleen Cecil with the Butte County Farm Bureau predicts because of the recent warm weather, the start of the 2026 bloom will come a little earlier.
We just hope that we keep these really agreeable temperatures throughout the duration of the bloom so that we can set a crop.
Colder temperatures and rainfall are forecasted later in February. These conditions prevent bees from performing needed cross-pollination and leave almond trees vulnerable. Growers are now planning how they will prevent their trees from freezing and rotting as a result.
So there's a lot of factors with warm weather getting the bloom pushed, and then with weather like the rains coming that we have, it's kind of a scramble right now.
Maximizing almond harvest is crucial for Bretagn's business, but also industry-wide. A surplus in crops can be a key factor in keeping almond prices low.
You're getting paid on your pounds, so the more pounds, is better. For me as well, being diversified with a huller and sheller, if you have more pounds running through a plant, it's more volume. So everything really depends on a good crop.
Bertagna said some of the best almond bloom conditions in recent memory were experienced during droughts, but the trend growers have seen in recent years is rain during the bloom.
And time now for a short break, but first we take in the views of skiers in the mountains around Lake Tahoe in California.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Warming up across the plains, but still very cold across the Great Lakes. We got a couple of clippers sliding down today and into the day tomorrow. As we head into your Saturday, a little quieter for us with still pretty cold temperatures across the Great Lakes, but we will be warming up as we go through the weekend into next week. Looking forward to that.
Well, a good Thursday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Chris Succi. Look at our forecast for the day, and it is going to be a beauty across the region. Look at those highs with sunny skies and just a breeze, low humidity, 50s, 60s, and a few low 70s out there for your Thursday. And then Friday, notice the temperatures in the morning, so jackets or coats are on to start the day, but big time warm up Friday with sunny skies. We'll see highs in the 70s to low 80s.
Well, hi there and a happy Thursday to everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Super Bowl week is here, and so are temperatures well into the 60s and the 70s through California. If you're heading to the Bay Area, closer to 70 today in San Francisco, but mid-70s expected around Santa Clara and San Jose. Meanwhile, 40s out of Jackson Hole, 60s out of Albuquerque. The warmth continues out west because of the stubborn area of high pressure that's been with us most of the season. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
We know Punxsutawney Phil predicts 6 more weeks of winter, but just how accurate is he? To find out, we turn to Syracuse meteorologist Violet Skyborg.
Well, in Punxsutawney since 1887, when they started recording his forecast, he's seen his shadow 110 times, no shadow 21 times. But only 39% of his predictions were correct, at least for the national weather. You have a better accuracy just guessing or flipping a coin, at least then you'd get a 50% chance of getting it right. But looking specifically at Syracuse, for the month of February. Since 1975, Phil has forecasted 36 times a shadow, which means extended winter, and he's gotten that correct 26 times. Also, since 1975, he's predicted a no shadow or early spring 15 times. He only got that correct 3 times, though. So lumping all of this together for our average temperatures in the month of February, based on Phil's forecast, he's gotten 29 out of the 50 correct, which is about 58%. That's better than flipping a coin. So he's actually onto something, at least for Syracuse and Central New York's weather.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm meteorologist Mark Pena. Make it a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.